against Wednesday today. We need to train tomorrow, so we're going to push down to London, East London, near Limehouse, ready for the big Thames tidal cruise.
Yeah, which is in a couple of days.
Anyway, it's raining today, and it was raining heavily in the night, and it was raining heavily this morning, but we're hoping it's not going to be another raining cruise because we just can't do it.
One hopes.
It's 6 hours, I think.
Yeah, 6 hours, whole bunch of locks. At least most of the locks are powered once we get past the first 3, I think, or 4. There's all these people over here in a whitewater rafting sort of adventure park beside us. They're paddling around in circles, and I'm like, free water.
Yeah, but we don't want them on this.
No, that's true.
That was one good thing about the cruise in the rain, because when we went up through that
Oh
area,
yeah, all those little.
there was all these little like trip boats that people hired out, and they couldn't steer them.
Powered rowing boats.
So they were like veering all across, but because the rain was so heavy, there wasn't any.
Yeah, everybody
so
was shut down.
You were inside, but I was just like, yes, just power through.
Yeah, because there was dozens of those little things out.
And they didn't go very fast, so you wanted to go past them, even though you weren't going very fast because there's more boats everywhere.
But they were doing this, so you couldn't really go past them.
They weren't in the habit of looking back, so they didn't know you were behind them.
And that's the fun part. Every time they look back, they'd shoot off. And they're like, I'm going to look over here. Woo! I'm going to look over there. Woo!
So I was like beeping them on the way up, like going, I'm here, don't drive into me.
Please do not ram the much larger vehicle.
Because it'll be worse for you than it is for me.
But today, so once we get through sort of down to the top of Hackney, I think it is, or just above Hackney, we get into a section where there's going to be, well, not necessarily, but
on the way up
there was a lot of canoes again. Now, at least this one will be more kayaks and stuff than sort of free roaming.
People
no idea what I'm doing or.
Yeah, I have slightly less idea. More idea.
But looking forward to it anyway. So 6 hours to go.
Also, thank you to the patrons, because this was our old GoPro, and now we have a second GoPro. So this is our first vlog of using 2 GoPros, so there'll be 2 points of view. So
hopefully that'll be good.
Yeah, hopefully.
It's not that I'm in a bad mood right now, by the way. It's that I threw out my back again, so I'm having a little bit of pain.
So that means less bloopers, so sorry.
Or different kinds of bloopers.
Grumpy bloopers as opposed to funny bloopers.
Yes, more grumpy bloopers.
So you're better off probably, I don't know, driving or looking?
Oh, definitely driving.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we're on our way. Misery, happiness, that way.
So Michael's currently going through that lock, and George, where is he? There he is. And I are currently throwing balls. This is where the day started to get a little weird. We got to the next lock only to realise that annoyingly we had left our keys at the previous lock. George and I set off on foot to walk the mile or so back to see if they were still there. Meanwhile, Michael managed to turn the boat around and he followed us back. As we were walking back, 4 motorbikes passed us, and it was more than a little unsettling to be on the narrow towpath and find ourselves standing between them and the water as they whizzed past. By the way, motorbikes are not allowed on the towpath. Happily, the keys were exactly where we left them, and once we'd retrieved them, we were on our way again.
What just happened, Michael?
We had to go back for Joe's keys.
Who left them there?
I did.
Why did you do that, Michael?
Well, one could say that I was trying to be considerate. You left, I shut down the lock, and I think I just got distracted by the dog or something because I completely didn't forget it.
What did you say when I said, can I have my keys?
I could have sworn I handed them to you, but I realize now I handed you the dog, which is like not the same thing as the key. So we got to the next lock, figured this out, turned around, came back, got passed by 4 motorcycles. You were on the towpath, nearly got run over. I got given a friendly gesture that wasn't that one. And yeah, and now I'm being shamed.
Now you're being key shamed.
I'm being key shamed.
By happy coincidence, another boat had set off from its mooring, so we now had a boat to share the lock with.
The next weird thing to happen was that we got rammed by a huge boat that was being pushed by another boat. We had moved over as far as possible to the right and practically stopped our boat, but they still managed to hit us. Unfortunately, we don't have any footage of the bump, but you can just see them approaching in the distance here. And here they are continuing along after the bump. More about that at the end of the video. Day is too eventful. Boat coming towards us, I pull to the right. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. At the very last second, although he seems to be having a bit of trouble controlling himself, at the last second he turns towards me and we basically get rammed. Luckily the guy on the front was able to think quick and put down a bumper between us, but this big wide beam just basically smashes us to the side and we end up in the trees. He had no idea what he was doing. So there was this redhead sort of standing on the top of one boat giving hand gestures, big hand gestures to the guy who was driving the boat. But of course, I can't tell if she's giving me hand gestures or if she's giving him hand gestures. I'm trying to just get out of their way. But if you're going to do this and you're going to push your boats around, at least know what the hell you're doing. Because, yeah, we just got rammed right off the side. And then, 20 seconds later, another boat comes around the corner. And it's a great big bloody lifeboat dragging another boat. And both of them are being driven back and forth across the road because the guy can't keep them going straight. It's fun times. Been a strange and wonderful day.
It's been the most random day ever. I can't even remember where we started.
We started at Waltham Abbey and everything started out kind of normal.
We waited for it to stop raining, which it did when it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Then we took George to the little park next to the lock, and then we met a viewer.
Yeah, and that was nice. And then our troubles began. Everything was kind of okay, really, I would say, until we lost the lock. Or the keys.
What do you mean we lost the keys?
I lost the keys. Was there something weird before that?
I can't remember. No, that was the start of it all.
Everything was going fine. We got to one lock. We had to stop there while I walked over to a screw fix to pick up some supplies that we needed.
While I was waiting, because there's 2 lock landings, and we were on the lock landing for the lock that wasn't working. So while I was waiting there for Michael, a boat that was on the water point below the lock came up, so it was set for us. And then just as Michael was walking back, a wide beam came along and went down.
Yeah, I was crossing the bridge and watching this boat go under, and I'm like, well, we just lost the lock, so
Which,
that's
like,
okay.
yeah, it was fair enough. Like, so we were like, darn it, we're going to be following this wide beam for miles, and every lock's going to be set against us.
Yeah, I
Wide
took
beams.
George and went over and operated the fully electronic powered lock. Open the doors up, Joe comes in, close the doors, go through the whole process.
Oh, can we just say before this that I got over from the wrong lock landing to the right lock?
Brilliant bit of driving.
Yeah.
Everything goes fine. We get the lock down, I open up, she goes out, close up behind her.
And then I go back to the difficult lock landing.
Yeah, she goes over to the difficult lock landing because her driving skills are mad. And I came down, got onto the boat, got George onto the boat, thought I handed Joe the keys, but apparently just handed Joe the dog.
There's a slight difference between the keys and the dog.
A little difference between the keys and the dog.
I feed one, I don't feed the other. I cuddle one, I don't cuddle the other.
Some people do cuddle their keys.
And then it was about a mile, just over a mile.
Mile and a half. We got to the next lock.
I said, Michael, can you pass me your key? Pass me my keys. And he was like, oh, here's the windlass. And I was like, no, I asked for my keys. Oh, I thought I gave you your keys. No, you gave me the dog.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm sure I gave you the keys. I go and look, no, you didn't give me the keys. Then it dawns on us.
Uh-oh, we've left the keys.
What do you mean we've left the keys?
I've left the keys. So Joe takes off. I backed up the boat and started to spin it. As Joe ran off up the towpath with George, I just get around 360 degrees
and
when there's this noise of somebody passing you on a motorbike.
And I see a boat coming, and I'm like, aha, a boat's coming. They'll have come down the lock. They'll have seen our keys. I can ask him. Just as George decides to do a poo, just as I hear the noise. And it's this like dirt bike. So I'm trying to get George out of the way of the dirt bike while speaking to the man on the boat, while picking up the poo, and
while this wrong'un basically drives by on the
there's 4 of
towpath.
them. And the funny thing is, like, motorbikes shouldn't be on the towpath.
No.
And like, I'm like getting George out of the way. Should have gone to the other side, but I went to the water side, and they're all extremely polite. Thanks. I was like, you've been joking
But
me.
they're breaking the law. You've just whizzed around Joe. The one guy on the dirt bike went by at least 40 miles an hour and pulled a wheelie. This other guy passes, and then there's this scooter coming. So I decide, I'll take some video of this. And the 2 guys on the scooter pass, and they pass and give me the 2-finger salute. And the guy's got his look on his face like, you're a jackass for, you're a jerk for videotaping me. And I'm like, you're doing something like massively illegal here, right? There were pedestrians walking along, there were people walking the dogs, there were fishermen. It's just absolutely stupid.
Managed to speak to the man coming on the bike, and he hadn't come down the lock. He'd just pulled out below the lock, so he didn't know about our keys.
Joe makes it back to the lock just as I'm pulling up to the lock, and phones me and says, "Got him." So now we've spent like an hour.
No.
Well, maybe 30 to 45 minutes getting down, then getting back, and then getting down again.
We get to the lock, and this is where we had a bit of good luck. The boat that had passed us, who we spoke to about have you seen our keys, had just gone into the lock, so it was open, and we could just join him. So yay, good luck.
So it felt like a normal day.
A little win.
Everything's going to be normal.
And this is a long cruise, like, by now,
Long cruise, yeah.
We're quite tired.
And there's this section of what I can only call sort of industrial wasteland off to the side. It's just sort of Mad Maxian, right? And there's this wide beam coming towards us.
With this woman, like, who is in the driving position, doing these mad
Sort of in the
signals.
siren. So she's up very high up, and she's doing hand signals.
But like really big hand signals.
But they're not big hand signals that make any sense. It's like I can't tell if she's saying she's trying to go into a mooring or she wants us to go to her left,
instead of
which
her
doesn't
right.
make any sense, So I slow the heck down,
Practically
and they
stop.
keep getting closer and closer and closer.
Except they're not going straight, and it's like,
Not going straight at
they're
all.
going to go this side of us. No,
And
they're
then
going
she
to go
starts
that
doing
side.
this left hand gesture, and the boat starts turning left. So I'm like, I still don't know what you're doing, but at least I think she's communicating that they're going left. All of a sudden, turns right directly into our path. A guy on the front jumps out and is fast enough to get a big balloon.
I was quite impressed because I was I'd come out the front by this time, and I was like, I was like, what do I do? Like, I can't push it off. Like,
no, we're at ramming speed.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this isn't going to be good.
Brace for impact.
So he puts the big balloon down.
And it was
we
like football size. It was
Yeah.
like one of the really big ones.
So we get smashed off to the side, into the trees. The whole side of the boat's into the trees.
And we've practically stopped because you slowed down so much. We've
Yeah.
practically stopped by this stage. So
Yeah.
they hit a still target.
So I'm sitting there just going, you know, one guy's like, sorry. And she's still doing these hand gestures. So what she's doing is communicating to the guy who's driving the tiny little narrow boat that's like a
It wasn't a
garbage
narrow
scout.
boat.
It was a narrow garbage scout.
It
type
wasn't a
boat.
narrow boat though.
No, it was like like a little fishing boat type,
Yeah.
like a Dutch barge type.
And the guy driving that cannot see beyond the wide beam in front.
No,
like
not at all.
He is blind.
Like he had no view of anything, and so he's just sitting back there, obviously overwhelmed, turning like mad, looking up at her. She does this, he turns that way. She does this.
Yeah, he's overcorrecting.
He's overcompensating. She's like, make small movements, and she's making enormous hand gestures.
So we just sit it out at the side, like as they go past.
Just kind of like what the.
And you say they'd slow down, but they were going pretty fast, considering they couldn't see where they were going.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's boats like all the way down the towpath at this stage.
Yeah.
And it was just lucky there weren't boats where the side that we went that we got pushed into.
So like 100 feet later,
we're just recovering. We're just like,
yeah.
We're just digesting what's happened and like having a little debrief.
Out from behind this tree comes a sideways lifeboat, and like one of those really big, like oil rig lifeboats, and the guy'd gotten it turned so it was like about 45 degrees across the canal, and he whips it over, and he's towing a narrow boat behind him.
No, he's towing a cruiser.
Was it a cruiser?
Yeah,
okay,
definitely.
It was a narrow cruiser, but he's driving.
At least
it.
he can see where
He's
he's
sitting
going.
there at the top of the wheel turning the thing, but his little cruiser is just whipping across. You know, so he kind of corrects towards me, but his cruiser goes over and smashes into a boat on the other side.
So we
and
just
bounces back.
Or you just like, right, this time I'm just getting
I'm
straight
just
out.
getting the hell out of the way.
And it was at a narrow point.
Yeah.
So he goes past.
And he goes past, and he's just like, thanks. I'm like, okay, this guy couldn't get any worse.
Why is everyone getting towed today?
So then we get another maybe half mile on. We'd come down a lock where it said, warning, there might be canoes ahead. Yeah, of course there might be canoes ahead. We've seen canoes, you know. So we come around the corner, and I'm just like, oh, good. Like 60 canoes full for some reason of little skinny acidic Jewish kids.
And you can only describe the scene as chaos because everyone's talking, like shouting over everyone else.
In Yiddish.
And everyone's like going crisscrossing, and we're like, who's in charge? Like
one of the children, one of the young boys, is in the water. His canoe's just floating free, and he's swimming. And the guy's trying to grab him while trying to control all the others.
But he's like weighed down by all his clothes, and he can't get out, even though
They
there's other.
keep pointing at George and barking.
Yeah.
And then chasing us with the canoes
And, like,
and trying to hit the water at the paddle.
We crept through at like no speed at all.
And yet they're all done up in the full outfits and regalia sort of thing. And it was just, and the one kid in the water finally gets dragged out, and he's sopping wet and must have weighed like another 120 pounds of just water mass.
And we're like, you know, we've like lost an hour, and now we're losing a bit more time, and we're tired, and we're just ready to stop. But we've got to get back to like nearish to Limehouse. There was the narrow boat that was going really, really slow. Like,
oh yeah.
And she made a funny comment about you going past, and it's like, I literally cannot go this slow.
Yeah, like I had to keep. We were on tickover, and I was passing her on tickover, so I had to keep jogging back into neutral over and over and over again because just our momentum was going faster than her engine on tickover.
And she was like, I won't race you today, and it's like, okay.
I don't think you want to. Yeah.
And then there was another boat. There was a cruiser that was sideways tied to another cruiser. It was like giving that one a tow, but then they found a mooring, so they stopped.
Yeah.
And we were just like, oh my God, this day's so weird.
And then finally we get down the last lock. Joe forgot her keys.
For 10 steps.
Off. I turn around and she's walking back and getting her keys and then looking around.
I didn't even
like,
get on the bridge.
Make sure Michael doesn't see.
I didn't even get on the bridge of the lock when I remembered.
Yeah, but you still forgot them in there. It's easy to do.
I forgot them for 10 steps. You forgot them for a mile and a half.
It was much worse. We get into this section where
we're on the home straight.
Home stretch. We knew we were coming down here, and we come around the corner, and this massive half brick goes sailing into the water.
And this is like the area where we were going to moor, and I was like, I don't want to moor here. There's like vandals,
there's people throwing half bricks at me.
There's wrong-uns.
Yeah. And there's this, and the brick had come very near a swan, and I'm like, why is there a guy throwing something at a swan?
And then he comes walking up, and like comes to talk to us, and I'm like, oh, what's he going to say? And he's like, can you help us?
I'm like, what? And it turns out that there's a female swan with a couple of cygnets has been attacked by two large male swans, and this is one of the 2 male swans that they're scaring off.
And could we help?
Yeah,
mother and baby?
keep the males away while we try and get over to where the female is stuck in a weir over here and wasn't able to get free.
He's still throwing bricks back there. We're trying to like coax the other one out with food,
but she wouldn't come out.
She was too stressed.
So we went down to try and moor up over there.
But it was full.
And it was full, so then I had to come back and do a 360.
So she'd come out, and then there was one cygnet still trapped up there with the predatory male, and so the guy's still back there throwing bricks, and then somehow he managed to get them separated, and the little cygnet's like swimming all the way down here.
So ultimately, that
was the end of our cruise.
Yeah, it's just been the most random day. I'm like, what's going to happen next? And hopefully that's just some sleep. Thanks for watching. Like, click, comment, subscribe, hit the little bell button if you want to get notifications. And yeah, enjoy.
And the next vlog might be the Thames vlog.
We're like 2 days away from Thames Madness and the Limehouse run. My back's actually been doing pretty well ever since the physiotherapist told me to just move it. So I've been doing lots of dancing and grooving and stuff.
Have you? I missed that.